Earlier, we mentioned how CNN responded to last night's Republican National Convention, and in particular to the speech by Mark and Patricia McCloskey. Mark McCloskey has been on this show many times. It's worth seeing for yourself, just in case you missed it. Here's a selection.
I asked him how he felt about Trump making him the face of white resistance to Black Lives Matter, because that's what happened when Trump put the video out there. That's just a matter of fact. And at the time, he was so resistant. Now he's at the convention being exactly that.
Obviously, there is a racial component to it. It's not a coincidence that the McCloskey's there were aiming their guns at people who were Black Lives Matter protesters.
Them having the McCloskey's villainize Black people.
What the McCloskey's were talking about, which was in absolute fear that anybody who makes less money and who is browner than them should not belong in their neighborhoods.
There you go. The media pushing race conflict as they do incessantly. You should know, though, this is not fundamentally a race conflict. There are many races in this country, and they're not all at war with each other. This is a class conflict where the people on top are crushing the people beneath them. That's what's actually happening. No one says it, but that's true. Meanwhile, over at CNN, the Chiron writers made certain, under orders from the Dwarf King, to portray the McCloskey's as bigots. They didn't mention that they were threatened by the mob of Biden voters in their yard, threatened with death. Why did they miss that? Steve Krakauer is back with us tonight for analysis of the coverage. You watched last night. How did you think the McCloskey's were treated by the other channels?
Yeah, well, I have to say, as soon as they ended the McCloskey speech on MSNBC, they immediately went to a red alert fact check of the McCloskey's, which, you know, I understand fact checking politicians. It's a little strange to fact check, you know, a couple from St. Louis, but so that was a little bit odd. But look, you played some of those clips there. It was very clearly made into this sort of race situation, and Donna Basha on CNN mentioned this sort of bullhorn to suburbia. This happened to us, and it could happen to you. I think that message really resonates, and I'm not sure, you know, I think it was meant to say, oh, it's about fear mongering. I think that's a message that resonates. They may not be the perfect messengers, but the message definitely is compelling.
It is compelling. Steve Krakauer, thanks so much for that. Great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.